Alright, so my name is Abigail, and the topic we're going to be discussing today is the ethnic conflict in Sri Lanka. Now, the question you may be wondering is, where is Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka is a small island south of the coast of India. A group of Aryan men led by a banished prince of Sinapura first arrived in Sri Lanka around 543 BC. According to Sinhalese legends, this prince married Kuvani, queen of the non-human people. Legend goes that the prince later banished Kuvani, along with the children he had with her, a son and a daughter, into the forest. The function this legend serves is to maintain the claim that the Sinhalese, descendants of these Aryan men, were the original inhabitants of Sri Lanka. The Aryan settlers of the land viewed themselves as a promised people. They believed that they were a special group, much like the Jews, due to their Buddhist faith. This set the background for what is now the ethnic conflict within Sri Lanka. The current ethnic conflict within Sri Lanka began shortly after the country gained its independence from Britain in 1948. Desperate to create an identity for the country other than that of the westernized Christian remnants of British rule, in 1956 the Sri Lankan government passed the Sinhala Only Act. This made Sinhalese the only official language of the country, disregarding the Tamil population residing within Sri Lanka. In addition to this, in the mid-1950s, around the same time, several Sinhalese politicians converted from Christianity to Buddhism in order to recapture the Sinhala Buddhist national identity the country once had long ago. The message the country was trying to set was one of unison, under that of the Sinhala Buddhist identity. This was not received well by the Tamil population of the island. The ethnic conflict entered into the political realm when the Sri Lankan government began their shift towards the Sinhala Buddhist national identity. This gave birth to the LTTE, the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam, the leaders of the separatist struggle within the country with the goal of gaining political autonomy for the northern and eastern regions of Sri Lanka, where the majority of Tamils resided, so as to not have them suffer the religious and linguistic oppression that was being imposed upon them by the Sri Lankan government. The first set of ethnic riots took place in 1956, right after the Sinhala Only Act was passed. The ethnic conflict within Sri Lanka destroyed all expectations Britain had for it. Sri Lanka was expected to be one of Britain's most successful former colonies. However, the ethnic conflict and political strife within Sri Lanka impeded this from occurring. The expectation of its success came from a high human development standing, high national income per head, and generally high income at the time of its independence. Sri Lanka was one of the few countries whose goal would have been to maintain its living standard, opposed to raising it. The ethnic conflict shifted the attention of Sri Lanka from economic prosperity to maintaining political power during times of ethnic conflict and civil unrest. Now, here's where it gets interesting again. In terms of perspectives and opinions, both of these groups, that is, the Sinhalese and Tamil people, react to a perceived threat against their ethnic identity. The Sinhalese people are attempting to act on their right to the island as the chosen people of the Buddhist faith, trying to preserve what is left of it, while the Tamil people are attempting to not be assimilated into the greater Sinhalese identity. It's important to note also that historically speaking, there is a perception of the Tamil people as invaders and destroyers, having had brought previous Sinhalese dynasties to ruin, taking the land these previous dynasties stood on and claiming them for themselves, creating kingdoms. There is one specific epic in which the Tamils are portrayed as one arm of a pincer, aiming to press the Sinhalese people against the other arm, which is described as the deep, unfathomable sea. Tales and perceptions such as this have been propagated through Sinhalese culture for centuries, creating an inherent fear of the Tamil population by the Sinhalese. Conversely, the Tamil people of Sri Lanka reacted to the Sinhala Only Act as a threat toward their ethnic identity. As a result, the rebellion LTTE group was formed in order to achieve the goal of a self-governed people without fear of assimilation. While regarded as a terrorist organization by several countries, including Canada, the US, and the European Union, the ethnic riots and wars between the LTTE and the SLA, the Sri Lankan Army, were thought of as necessary by the LTTE in order for the Tamils to survive as a people. The result of the ethnic conflict was at least 70,000 casualties by the year 2007. Domestically, there have been a few attempts at permanently resolving the conflict. However, none have been successfully reached. Ceasefires, on the other hand, have been successfully
Created using Powtoon.